Hey everybody, how is it going today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to give you an update on my watch list and then show you the best looking tradable charts that I see in the market right now. All right, well, I'm going to jump into the market averages first. I haven't done a video in a while because I have been very sick and man, I don't know what the heck is going on. I don't know if I got the COVID. I don't know what, and I'm feeling a little bit better, but you know, the market doesn't care. The market doesn't care how I feel. It just wants to trade. And so I figured, since I haven't done a video in a while, I just want to go into the market averages real quick before I jump into the other charts. But I'm going to start off with the NASDAQ. This is the QQQs. And as we can see, the NASDAQ has been doing phenomenal. This thing is breaking out to a new high. I mean, this chart pattern just looks absolutely perfect. So the market is very healthy at the moment. If we go look at the S&P 500 or the SYPR, you can see the SYPR is doing roughly the same thing. Not quite as strong as the NASDAQ, but strong nonetheless. This pullback that we had got bought up after just a couple of days, and just a few days after that, we are out to a new high. And if we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it is wiping up the rear right now. It's having a little bit of a hard time getting through this resistance area around 355.50 or so, but I think it's going to get pulled up by the other market indices unless we have some kind of a big breakdown. But of course, the one that I am the most interested in is the IWM. I have been staring at this consolidation. It seems like forever, at least months and months, and just waiting for the IWM to either break below or above one side of it. And this thing just continues to go sideways. I thought this was going to be a breakdown where it finally broke down below it, but it turned around, broke down below the 200 period simple moving average just a couple of, it looks like about a week or so ago. And after it broke down through that, I thought maybe that was going to be the time it broke down through this consolidation and the market was probably going to go into a bigger correction. But it just reversed immediately, and now it is back above all those moving averages, and it is knocking on the door of the upper portion of this consolidation. And I think that if the IWM breaks through this consolidation and holds it, these markets are going to be off to the races. I am still of the opinion that we're going to have a decent-sized market sell-off before the end of the year. But, you know, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. If the IWM breaks above this consolidation and keeps going up, then obviously I'm probably going to be wrong on that. And I haven't made any huge moves either way. I'm just kind of waiting for the market to tell me what to do. And that's what you got to do. You got to let the market tell you what the next move is going to be, and try to not be too concrete in your opinions, because if they're wrong, you don't want to get caught on the other side of it, because the market doesn't care what we think. All right, well, the first one I want to get into is the one I actually bought today. I bought Context Logic. I bought Context Logic when it came down to about $7.16. This is a pretty nice bottoming formation. This is the formation that I really love to see. It looks kind of like an inverted head and shoulders, but if you go to the 15-minute chart, you can see it just a little bit better. And this is how I like to trade these type of formations. I like to go down to the 15-minute chart. And as we can see, you got a nice rounded bottom. You got the false breakdown right here, which could be the head of the inverted head and shoulders pattern. But then we had a break of this resistance area right around 720. I was looking at the 715 area, so I put my order in at 716, and that's pretty much where it came down to. It broke down just a little bit below it, but then immediately reversed. So I think if Context Logic can get above 750 here, this thing could make it to $8 quite easily. So that's what I'm going to be hoping for. But just backing out of this pattern again, you can see how the lows are starting to rise up, and it's putting pressure on this resistance area right here. And that's exactly what you want to see when you see a stock trying to carve out a bottom. Now, you never know if this stock is going to take off or not. This is the right side of the pattern. Unfortunately, this is the side that we have to live on. All of this is the left side, and this is what looks easy in hindsight. But if this thing breaks above 750, like I said, I think we could be headed towards $8. If this thing does break down below this resistance area, I'm probably going to give it all the way down to about 679. And if it breaks below 679, then I know that I was wrong. I'll take my small loss, and I will head off to the next trade. And just looking at some other patterns in the market right now that have been working. Any SYPR 3D Corporation, ticker symbol ANY. Had this one on my watch list, but I missed it when it took off just because I've been doing a lot of sleeping lately, just because I haven't been feeling so good. But this is just an absolutely beautiful bottoming pattern, and this pattern in particular right here, I've been seeing a lot in the market lately. You get a big move up, pulls back, kind of carves out a tiny bit of a bottom right near that 8-period exponential moving average, starts to move up, prints a nice green candle, which is kind of like sucks people in, makes you think this thing is going to take off again, and then it immediately reverses, only to make a new low, and then not long after that, do a nice reversal and kind of make one of those little inverted head and shoulder patterns. I've been seeing this combination quite a lot in the market lately. So if you see a stock that kind of has a big move up like this, pulls back, and then prints that nice green candle real soon after it pulls back, just be a little weary of it, because a lot of these have been breaking down, and then I think a lot of people get sucked into the market right here, and then once it breaks down, they take their small loss only to see it reverse and then finally finish carving out that bottom. But if we go to the 15-minute chart on SYPR 3D Corporation, you can see what I'm talking about. Nice little rounded bottom here. You got another little head where it had the false breakdown, and then you got the potential two shoulders over here. People call these things all kinds of different things. You know, they call them saucer bottoms, rounded bottoms, inverted head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. The point is, just look for that false breakdown and then a break above that resistance area. You can call it the neckline if you want. But once it breaks above that neckline, you can either buy it immediately or you can wait for a little bit of a pullback. Obviously, with this one, looking at it in hindsight, the correct choice would have been to buy it immediately, because once it broke through that resistance area, this thing really took off to the upside. So just a very nice pattern in SYPR 3D Corporation. Another one that I was watching was AQST. You can see AQST was doing the very same thing. I missed this one as well. I'd love to tell you guys that I bought every single one of these, but I just haven't been staring at the market as much lately as I would like. But if we look at the 15-minute chart on AQST, see the same exact thing. So just make sure you guys add this chart pattern into your repertoire, guys. Once you see this false breakdown, look for the lows starting to move higher, and then just to put pressure on the resistance area on the chart. And then once it breaks down through it, you can wait for that pullback. This is where I usually like to enter. So I usually don't like to just jump right in. Now that means sometimes I miss really big runs. I used to just buy a little bit on the breakout, and then if it pulled back, I would add to that position again. But lately, it just seems like I've been waiting for that pullback, just because there's been a lot of false breakouts lately in the market. So I want to see how it's pulling back, and if it's pulling back on light volume, not too hard, then that's when I like to get in these stocks. But AQST was one that I was watching. Unfortunately, I did not buy this one, but very nice looking pattern. Another one was SYPR. Let me go back to the daily chart on this one. But you can see SYPR has been moving sideways for quite a while. And if we go to that 15-minute chart, we can definitely see that nice rounded bottom. That let me draw that resistance area. You got that resistance area right. If I can get this thing, it starts touching too many tops and it kind of goes a little haywire on me. But you can see once it broke through this resistance area right here, came back, touched that resistance area, and then took off. So SYPR was another one, but just a lot of examples in the market right now. But let me get into some other patterns that haven't really resolved themselves out that we could potentially trade. All right, the first stock I want to get into is MESA Air Group Incorporated, ticker symbol MESA. We can see this one has been in a very long downtrend. This thing has pulled back from about $17.50 a share all the way down to right around $7 a share as of last week. And that's about a 60% pullback. So this thing is way overdue for a bounce up. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can see looks like it's starting to carve out a pretty nice bottom. Had a nice V-shaped recovery above the 8-period exponential moving average and has been consolidating sideways. That's exactly what you want to see. It's finding resistance at that 21-period exponential moving average, that purple line on the chart, and it looks like it could potentially be rolling over. We got these two topping tails followed by a red candle, but I am thinking the way this pattern is looking that it's probably already found its bottom. Now, if we go to the 15-minute chart and take a closer look at it, we can see that if MESA can get above 820 a share or so, right where it was running into that purple moving average, that 21 period, I think this thing could be starting a new uptrend. Now, of course, this thing could potentially roll over, but and I think if it breaks below, call it 759, probably it's going to have to move sideways a little bit longer. And that's where I would take my my small loss and move on to the next trade. But of course, I wouldn't be entering until it broke above 821 and held a little bit. And if we go back to the daily chart, we can see it offers a pretty decent risk-reward ratio because this thing could easily make it to this 200-period simple moving average right at 950 a share. So from that level all the way up to 950, it offers a pretty decent profit if MESA can break above that resistance area. The next one I want to talk about is BIOL. BioLace looks like this one is starting to carve out a bottom as well. This thing has been moving sideways. It is under $1 a share, so this one, of course, offers that risk of being a very cheap stock, but it definitely looks like it's trying to carve out a bottom. And these stocks that are under $1, they can be much more volatile, so of course, you have to take a little bit of a smaller position to account for that, because you want to give it a little bit more room to you know, bounce around, give it a little more room to breathe. But if we go to the 15-minute chart, we can definitely see it has broken through this resistance area right around 76 cents. So if it can hold this resistance area, which of course becomes support once it breaks above it, I think this one could be off to the races again. So BIOL is definitely on my list for tomorrow. Let's go back to the daily chart real quick. And just looking at the daily chart, this thing could easily run up to its old high of right around $8.50. That's a pretty nice move from here, but remember, it is probably going to be quite choppy. So always account for that by taking a little bit of a smaller position, or at least that's what I do anyway. Next one I want to get into is VGZ. This is another very cheap stock. This is a gold mining stock, and we can see this one is starting to carve out a nice bottom as well. We got some bottoming tails right here. It is above that 8-period exponential moving average and is finding resistance at that purple line again. So this thing is kind of like a coiled up spring right now, and if it can break above that 21-period exponential moving average, I think this thing could have finally bottomed out and could be headed towards that 200-period simple moving average over $1 a share. So that's a pretty decent move from here. If we go to the 15-minute chart, we can see how nice that is starting to look. So this is the area that I am interested in, is about call it 85 cents a share, and if it can break above that and hold it, I think VGZ could have made its short-term bottom and could be ready to make that next swing move up. Next one I want to talk about is IBIO. You can see IBIO is making a very similar pattern as well. It's been going sideways for about a year, but it has jumped above that 8-period exponential moving average and is holding it. It is finding some resistance at that 50-period simple moving average, but if we can get above that, I think this one could be starting its next move up. And if we look at that 15-minute chart, we can definitely see it is finding some resistance, and this is pretty strong resistance here, right around $1.30 a share. And you can see why. You know, there's just a lot of touches on this chart, and the areas on the chart that have the most touches are going to be either the strongest areas of support or the strongest areas of resistance. Now, when you're drawing support or you're drawing trend lines, just remember you want to put your trend lines and your support areas where the most touches are. Because I mean, if you're drawing trend lines, you can really touch trend lines on any 2 points on the chart. You know, so it's kind of subjective, but just make sure you use the areas that have the most touches, because those are the ones that get bounced off of the most, obviously. But IBIO, I think a break above that 130 and a hold is going to look pretty good. Let's take a look at the daily chart. And I think if it breaks above that line, we could definitely get past that 200-period simple moving average. And this thing could probably get close to $2 a share. You know, can have one of these type of moves up where it gets up right around $2 a share. So IBIO is definitely going to be on my watch list. The next one is GNUS Brands, GNUS. We can see GNUS making the same type of formation. It's finding resistance at those moving averages. So you got to be always aware where those major moving averages are, because you can see how often they bounce off of them. So you need them to really clear it to give you a better signal that they're probably going to continue that move up. But if we look at the 15-minute chart on GNUS Brands, we can see the exact same thing. We can see that clear-cut resistance area right around $1.60 to about $1.65 or so. So we need a clear break into this area to let us know that GNUS Brands is going to be starting that next move up. We've already carved out a pretty nice bottom right here, so we just need that break for GNUS Brands. And if we go to the daily chart on GNUS Brands, we can see that if it can get above these moving averages, we could definitely see the mid to upper twos pretty easily on GNUS Brands. And then once this thing gets going, this thing can really start moving. So that's what I'm looking for with GNUS Brands, is a nice break above about 175 or so and a hold. Okay, everyone, that is all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, or if you have any other ones you want me to take a look at, please leave it down there in the comments section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.